Well, looks like I just kind of recently hit 50 subscribers. And you may know that I have a Q&A prepared, but that's not going so well right now, so I have a backup. So to celebrate 50 subscribers, I think it's about time I take a look at the ever so joyful Kirby series. Specifically, the bosses.
I need a monster to claw with that there Kirby!
Even though the Kirby games are mostly easy, that doesn't deny the fact that the bosses are still really fun. They're fun to fight, and they're fun to use your copy abilities against. And for a platformer game, they're actually extremely fleshed out. So let's take a look at my 10 favorite Kirby bosses. Now I have a few rules this time around. First off, and I know that this is a big one, I'm not including any final bosses on this list. Why? Because I want this list to be very simple. I don't want it to get too complex, because final bosses take a long time to talk about. And a little heads up, there are going to be spoilers. Even though there aren't final bosses, I'll still include penultimate bosses and super bosses. I think that's about all that needs to be said.
watch out, Kirby, because these bosses are coming right back at you.
Well, with the lack of final bosses on that list, I guess that gives me a lot more room to talk about bosses that most people would ignore.
Case in point, Sky High Wispy Woods from Rainbow Curse. I'm not too terribly surprised that this guy doesn't get any acknowledgement. Same goes for every other boss in Rainbow Curse.
But I feel as if that they tried something new with Sky High Wispy Woods.
Taking advantage of Rainbow Curse's main mechanic, you'll have to shield Kirby from Sky High Wispy Woods' attacks, and also maneuver him around obstacles. And on top of that, charge up for Kirby's super strong attack ability. This way so you can actually do some decent damage on him while not getting hurt. It kinda feels like that you're traversing a level with a boss in it. You're in a mad dash to collect 100 stars so that you can unleash Kirby's special ability, while at the same time you're trying to avoid getting hit by obstacles and projectiles. It's a great way to take advantage of a game's mechanic. And since I'm not covering any other boss from Rainbow Curse on the list, I feel it's best to mention the boss music. You're listening to it right now, and can you really argue with it? Go look it up, it's a great song. Overall, a unique boss that unfortunately doesn't get a lot of attention. Back to often ignored bosses, Kirby Vander. This one I can see being ignored just because Triple Deluxe's bosses were nothing spectacular. Mostly because the bosses focus a bit too much on the foreground and background gimmick. In some cases it works to their dismay. However, I don't really mind Kirby Vander's use of it. In fact, I like it more or less for the foreground battle, while the background battle is more or less just a nice little bonus. But to the boss itself, it requires a bit of quick reaction time. So this boss has quick and strong attacks, slithering side to side, and even whipping you with its tail. Not to mention it quickly coils around the battlefield that you're standing on. And about those pipes in the background, those are part of its 3D gimmick. It curls around these and fires energy balls at you.
Hear that, Kirby Vander? You can be a Pokemon!
But one of my absolute favorite attacks of it has to be whenever it jumps up into the air and collides into the battlefield. A runner-up has to be whenever it breaks itself apart and scatters its pieces all over the battlefield with its head dive bombing, giving you a good chance to hit it. So pretty much, it's just a case of hit its head, then it's dead. Wow, it even rhymes!
That's another thing that's different about its boss. You can only hit its head.
Your timing's gotta be good so you can attack at just the right time so you can get out as much damage as possible. That's right, with good timing, you can actually counter all of these attacks. It requires a bit of learning, but that's about it. And it makes this guy a quick and hectic fight in the arena. And in general, it was just a great boss to spice up Triple Deluxe. I think we can all agree whenever I say Squashini is a great boss. Here, let's take the fun notch and turn it up all the way to super fun. This boss has a unique way of unleashing its attacks. It uses a slot machine. Well, that was a great idea, leaving your attacks to random chance. Basically, it will spin these slots and whatever they land on is what attack will unleash next. It uses cards, hiding bombs behind its cape, ties you to a bomb, And hold up, he's pulling magic tricks? There can only be one magic man here. Well, anyways, like Coily Rattler, with good timing, you can actually counter all of these attacks. You just need to make sure that you pay attention. Stuff that might be obvious up to this point, such as throwing the coins right back at him. The only attack that you can't counter is the one where he ties you to bomb, which makes sense, it's a metaphor for life.
Whatever he's doing to Kirby behind that curtain, well, you can't fight back against it.
Back to what I was saying.
Squashini is just a very playable fight. It's really fun to fight. Now while that transition's going on, I have a bone to pick with this guy.
What'd I tell you, Squashini? There can only be one magic man on this stupid show. Alright, with that out of the way, let's get back to the Oh crap. Computer virus! Oh well, this is the only time I've ever had a computer problem in my YouTube career. But you know what? At least the computer virus isn't like an actual computer virus, where it's a... Actually, no, I don't know what computer virus is actually like. I've had computer problems, but I've never had to deal with a computer virus. Well, if there's one thing I'm sure of, it's that computer viruses aren't RPG battles. But hey, this can be an exception. It makes it more fun. This boss takes place in the Great Cave Offensive, where bosses are just randomly placed. So what's the uniqueness about this boss? Well, it's an RPG. Well, it's not really an RPG, it's more or less just a turn-based battle. It's a turn-based battle that acts like an RPG. Whenever it's the enemy's turn, they'll become invincible, and they'll just shoot projectiles at you. However, like a real turn-based battle, after its turn is done, it drops from the window, I guess, so that you can actually start hitting it and dealing some damage. You'll only have a few seconds to deal some damage though. And that's about it. It just summons more and more images or enemies to battle you. I mostly like this boss because of its charm. Whenever the Kirby series adds in an RPG tone, they always make some sort of joke out of it. Yes, those statistics are going to help me out in the future. That's honestly all I can say. The virus battle is an RPG before a Kirby RPG ever happened. Prepare to die?
I thought Kirby games were always cutesy.
Well, we went this far without mentioning Meta Knight, but I guess it's about time that I do put him on the list. I honestly feel as if this is the best battle against him in the series, simply because of the epic nature of it. Whenever Meta Knight offers you a blade to wield in battle, you know this is going to be a fun sword fight. Meta Knight can honestly be a tricky foe for newcomers, but once you've learned his techniques and whatnot, he's actually a pretty fun character to fight. Now with how short this battle is in Superstar, at least because of the time limit, you might just think of this as, oh, why is it so short? I wish it could have been longer. Well, it kind of has a second phase. In the second phase, you have to escape the halberd while riding a wheelie. But then I sees that this is a chance for him to finally defeat Kirby. One final climactic chase sequence. And I don't care about that time limit. I hate time limits a lot, but this makes it so much more climactic and epic. Not to mention, it's somewhat reasonable. Holy crap, this battle really did escalate quickly. Well, once started out as a standard Kirby vs Meta Knight battle, quickly escalated to a final chase off an exploding ship. On the topic of Meta Knight, he has his own super boss to fight in Planet Robobot. 3 in fact, and they're all returning bosses from previous games in the series. However, the last 2 Meta Knight fights are pretty much carbon copies from their original games. But the first boss of Story Dream's Trial in Planet Robobot, well, it was simply way too old to be copy-paste. Darkness returns, and Dark Matter just won't die. Oh well, that makes sense, since this is a clone.
Yeah, I think I know why Dark Matter and Zero have been reappearing in the series a lot.
But enough speculation, whatever. Time to get to the battle. Dark Matter wields a blade and he doesn't really put great use to it. Now of course he usually does go and use dash/slash attacks on you, which are really strong, but he mostly just goes pew pew with it. Oh well, because after the first phase of this boss, it goes mad. It used to just simply dash at you with its sword in front, but now it slashes it all over the place while it's dashing towards you. And lower the projectiles, man, please.
And honestly, that's about it for that battle.
I'm glad that they didn't copy-paste like they did with the other two bosses. But my gosh, does the Kirby series love to turn that nostalgia reel on max. Oh well, it doesn't matter how many times Kirby or Meta Knight defeat it. You know, dark matter will always exist.
Oh no. Oh, please.
No thank you. I would prefer keeping my sanity today. Oh, who am I kidding? We got a few friends here. Galactic Knight's not gonna be hard this time around. I spoke too soon. I spoke too soon. I spoke too soon. As for another reoccurring Kirby villain, we've got Galactic Knight, who also doesn't want to go away. Ever since Triple Deluxe, they always love to have you fight him in the arena. He is no less than an arena killer. Your arena run can go perfectly until this guy shows up. What starts off as a mildly difficult first phase with all of his sporadic attacks and blocks and whatnot. It's fun yet rather difficult to predict his attacks, but you get his HP a little too low. Oh dear. I don't think there's ever been a Kirby boss with such insane attacks besides Mark's. Trust me, if you didn't bring a power that has some sort of invincibility attack, then you're kind of screwed. Unless if you mastered all of these attacks.
Was it any wonder why Galactic Knight's pretty much a staple to the series now?
It spices up the arena and makes it a lot more fun. You've gotten this far into the arena, and now you just gotta make it past Galactic Knight and you might be in the clear. Every moment in this freaking battle will have you on your toes. Unless if you're like me who just uses the lead power. Gosh, it's just absolutely insane. Even the music tells you that. There are very few moments where Galactic Knight ever stop. Now let's take a good look at that sword beam attack. Oh boy, that's going to be fun to avoid, isn't it? Oh yeah, that shield's not for show. He uses that too. Well, I hope that you like Galactic Knight, because so far he's appeared in 3 games, and I'm pretty sure he's going to appear again. But that beam attack, man, please!
Well, would you look at this? Susie's been here taking up the transition, and it hasn't even been on the list.
So now it's your time to shine. First off, I don't know who I can say does this, but I think this might just be the only normal Kirby boss that has 3 phases. 3 freaking phases. In the first part of the battle, Susie's in her mech and just bouncing around, I guess. Okay, so maybe it's not the most exciting in the world. In fact, it's super quick to beat. After the second phase, things take a turn for the better. This phase starts with her sending out some spinning tops, I guess. And let's not forget, she alters the battlefield. So, now, she starts spinning around the, I guess, circular battlefield, I guess? All the while shooting missiles at you? I don't know what those are. Things get tense with this attack. She will attach to the circular part that's sticking out in the middle of the battlefield and spin on it. And after this comes the last phase of the battle. Identically to the second phase, she alters the battlefield again, where now it has a hole in it. Susie starts doing this so that she can fire a mech through it and you unleash a strong attack on you. And there's even an upgraded version of this attack where she sparks it and then it goes through it. So yeah, pretty insane arsenal. She even fires those missile things from earlier through it. Precision timing is the key to this last phase. She makes sure not to leave the mech open for attack, so you have to time it whenever she lands on the ground with the launching attack. Then you can start throwing some damage. I liked the first battle in Planet Robobot, didn't really like the second one too much, but this one just got me into all the bosses in the game. It was purely great. In fact, it even sparked the first phase of the final boss. If you ask me, I think you've done pretty good if you can pretty much have the final boss copy you. Guess what? Planet Robobot's getting double treatment today. And while I'm at it, whenever I think about it this way, I haven't actually talked about King DDD yet. And I'm still not going to. We're talking about a clone. The DDD clone, also from Planet Robobot, likes acting like DDD. In fact, it's identical to the original DDD in literally every single way. Except for one little thing. As he takes more damage, he multiplies. The more damage you do to him, he starts adding in more and more DDDs and separating. So what you once thought was a normal battle with the king just turned into a triple deluxe battle. So now you gotta pay attention to all 3 of these DDDs. I mean, it's not like they all copy each other. So essentially, you're just running around and dealing damage to them until all of them die. Oh well, you defeated all the samples and they're dead, whatever. Oh, hello, they got themselves some new artillery! You know, if I was told that the DDDs were going to pilot a robot, I didn't think that would be some sort of machine gun.
You know, I guess you could say Planet Robobot has a turret section.
In this phase of the battle, you have to dodge their big laser beams while they're going on a set path. So they're only confined to a few areas. Man, turret sections really do suck. At the same time, they'll sometimes shoot you with flamethrowers and their energy balls. Let's not forget about the time whenever they start going all over the place and playing with that little veil system that they got there. Yes, going in circles will help you. And that's all there is to it, to the DDD clones. I like the boss because of the fresh take on the DDD concept. Whenever you fight DDD in a Kirby game, you know what it's going to be like, even though we haven't fought in a long time. Simply because DDD's been portrayed more or less as a hero than a villain. But trust me, they like to find their ways on how to make DDD a villain. Oh well, I don't mind this take on the concept. Despite coming from different games, all of these bosses have one thing in common. None of them are EX bosses. If you're wondering what an EX boss is, it's pretty much just a recolored boss with modified attacks. HAL usually uses these characters in extra modes or the true arena. And is it really any wonder why I don't have any of those guys on this list? They're essentially just reskins with stronger attacks. Here, I have an example ready. What about Metal General? Yeah, look, you know, that boss from Return to Dreamland? He's not that different in his EX form, he just has some modified attacks, that's all, and also, I guess he does kind of look cooler. But like all the other EX bosses, he's just a reskin with stronger attacks, that's about it. Why am I this far into the EX version of Return to Dreamland, you may ask? Well, let's just say 9-year-old me had nothing better to do, so I decided to 100% both modes. So just like the others, I expected this just to be a reskin. Whenever I beat this boss, however, something startling happened. Whoa, that's a big mech you got there. Was that there before? I don't know why they modified this boss of all of them, but holy crap, it's amazing. Dare I say, HRD3's shock factor alone is more than enough to get it to the top spot on this list. But alongside that, it has an amazing boss fight. It's freaking tough, but it's so much fun. This second phase involves it in the background with this huge freaking mech attacking you with its arms and its drill hand. This doesn't seem too threatening at first, it's actually relatively easy to dodge. But oh boy, laser eyes. Oh, and even more missiles. I mean, I can handle this just fine now, but holy crap, was this just so much of a shock that I could barely fight this thing. Oh well, oh my gosh, it's got another phase! Holy crap, step aside, Susie, I was mistaken. This third phase is the reason why it's on the list. It's one of the most intense boss fights I've ever fought in a video game. Here, let's try to ignore the fact that it jumps onto the battlefield while still punching at you. And even though it's still on the battlefield, it still likes to go into the background and fire missiles at you. Boy, you don't get enough of those, do you? And no time for belly flops! And it even retains the spin attack from its second phase. It's intense, it's strong, it's intimidating, but it's fun. I will never understand why the heck they put in a random boss fight here, but it's a freaking great one, and it's a welcome surprise. If you thought Kirby was too easy, or too cutesy and stuff, or just really boring games, then you just need to take a look at this boss specifically. It shows you that they're not pulling any punches. It goes to show that Kirby games aren't as predictable as you might think. How Laboratory, do us a favor and pull another HRD3. I'm Luigi Magic NX, and thank you all for 50 subscribers and for watching this countdown. See you later, everyone.